Hello everyone, here is one more session on breech presentation. Today we'll talk about mechanism of breech presentation. The breech delivery is concerned with birth of three parts of the fetal body. We have discussed in the normal labor that the most difficulty occurs in the delivery of the fetal head. The maximum pain is required for the birth of the fetal head. Once the head is delivered, rest of the body comes out very easily. But it is not so in the breech presentation. Whenever there occurs breech labor, we are mainly concerned with the three parts of the body delivery. These parts are breech, shoulder and after coming head. Head is the last part to be delivered in breech presentation, so it is called after coming head. So we are concerned with delivery of these three important fetal body parts: breech, shoulder and after coming head. If we talk about position wise, there can be sacro-anterior breech where the positions may be LSA or RSA. It is left sacro-anterior or right sacro-anterior, and it can be sacro-posterior breech RSP or LSP, right sacro-posterior or left sacro-posterior. We first start with the sacro-anterior breech when there is LSA or RSA is the position of the buttocks. First we talk about mechanism of the breech. Engagement in LSA occurs with the buttocks in the left oblique diameter of the pelvis, and the engagement occurs at the pelvic brim. Engaging diameter becomes bitrochanteric, that is antero-posterior engaging diameter is bitrochanteric. Its length is either 4 inch or 10 centimeter. Descent of the buttock continues until the anterior buttock touches the pelvic floor. So from the pelvic brim, because of the descent, the buttocks reach the pelvic floor, and the descent continues till the anterior buttock touches the pelvic floor. Then occurs internal rotation. Internal rotation of the anterior buttock occurs through 1/8 of a circle, so that the anterior buttock lie under the pubic arch or under symphysis pubis. Further descent with lateral flexion of the buttocks occurs. There is lateral flexion of the buttocks occurs with the further descent of the buttocks. Posterior buttock passes through the or passes over the perineum first. So posterior buttock touches the perineum first. Then it is followed by delivery of the anterior buttock and then of the posterior one. So whenever there is breech presentation, either buttock is delivered first, followed by the delivery of the remaining buttock. So normally the anterior buttock is delivered first, followed by delivery of the posterior buttock. Along with the birth of the buttocks, the trunk is also borne by lateral flexion of the spine. Restitution may occur whereby the buttocks may occupy the original oblique diameter as it was during engagement. During engagement, the diameter was oblique, engaging diameter was oblique, and the same you find after restitution. Then we come to mechanism of the shoulders. Engagement of shoulders occur in LSA position in the left oblique diameter. So when there is LSA position in the left oblique diameter of the pelvis, engagement of the shoulders occur. Engagement of shoulders occur at pelvic brim soon after the birth of the breech. Soon after the delivery of the buttocks, engagement of the shoulders occur at pelvic brim. The engaging diameter become biacromial. The length of this diameter is 4.75, or you can say 4 3/4 inch or 12 centimeter. Then after descent occurs with internal rotation, it is rotation. Again find this spelling correction. Descent occurs with internal rotation of anterior shoulder through 1/8 of a circle, which makes the shoulder antero-posterior. Because you know the shape of the pelvis, the bispinous diameter. it is narrower than the anteroposterior diameter. If shoulders remain oblique, then whenever they reach the spine level, they will have difficulty in the further passage. They cannot pass through that bispinous diameter, right? So to avoid that obstruction in the birth, shoulders want to be anteroposterior, and so that this movement 1/8 of a circle rotation takes place. Delivery of shoulders occur by lateral flexion as occurs of the buttocks. As we just discussed, buttocks delivered through lateral flexion. Same way, by lateral flexion only shoulders are delivered. Restitution occurs due to external rotation of the trunk. Whenever there is external rotation of the trunk, one twist occurs in the trunk. To remove that twist, the anterior shoulder may rotate towards the mother's right thigh in LSA and towards left one in RSA position. These you can imagine. When the position is LSA, then the shoulder rotates towards the right thigh, that means right side, and when the position is RSA, it rotates towards the left side. At this stage, 1/8 of a circle rotation occurs anteriorly at the occiput, anteriorly of the occiput, and so occiput comes under symphysis pubis. After delivery of the shoulders, the occiput lie in the pelvic floor, so occiput also rotates through 1/8 of a circle, so the occiput lies under symphysis pubis. External rotation of the shoulders occur in the same direction due to internal rotation of the occiput. So in the same direction, the external rotation of the shoulders also occur, that is through 1/8 of a circle rotation. This puts the fetus in the position of dorso-anterior. Dorso means back. Because of this movement, the fetal back totally faces anteriorly, so that position is called dorso-anterior. Then we come to mechanism of the head. Engagement of head occurs through the oblique diameter opposite to that of buttocks. The engaging diameter is suboccipito-bregmatic or suboccipito-frontal. This depends on the flexion of the head. Engagement of head occurs when shoulders pass through the outlet. So when the shoulders are born, then the engagement of the head occurs at pelvic brim. Descent occurs with increasing flexion. So when at the time of the engagement the head is not well flexed, due to further descent, complete flexion of the head also occurs. Internal rotation of the occiput occurs through 1/8 or 2/8 of a circle to bring it under symphysis pubis. Because of this 1/8 or 2/8 of circle rotation, the head lies under symphysis pubis or the pubic arch. Descent continues. Descent is a continuous process throughout the process of the labor. Head is born fully flexed. It is delivered as first chin, then followed by mouth, followed by nose, followed by forehead, followed by bregma, and then followed by the vertex, and finally birth of the occiput. So in this order the head is delivered. The diameter passing over the perineum is suboccipito-frontal to frontal to bregmatic. So in this diameter the head is born. Expulsion of the head from the pelvic cavity depends entirely upon the bearing down efforts. It does not depend at all on uterine contraction. As severe or as more the bearing down efforts are, as fast or without delay expulsion of the head is possible. So expulsion of the head from the cavity in breech presentation does not depend on uterine contraction at all. So these should be kept in mind. That's why the mother is asked to take more and more proper bearing down efforts for the birth of the after coming head in the breech presentation. These we talked about sacro-anterior breech. Now we talk about sacro-posterior breech also very briefly. In RSP and LSP, that is in right sacro-posterior and left sacro-posterior, The mechanisms of the breech and shoulders are same as that in sacro-anterior position. So whatever you find in the LSA and RSA, same way the mechanism takes place in the RSP and LSP. That is for the breech and shoulders. The head descends on the pelvic floor and may be borne as face to pubis. Rare mechanism. This sacro-posterior is very rare mechanism, very rarely to occur. Whenever there is breech presentation, mostly it is anterior position, that is LSA or RSA. Sacro-posterior positions are very rare, so this mechanism is also rare, and it may occur in the premature fetus. Whenever there is premature fetus, you may find sacro-posterior breech. So these we talked about the mechanism in the breech. Now we come to the prognosis. Prognosis is of two aspects. It can be maternal risk, it can be the fetal risk. We first talk about the maternal risk. It is little increased due to prolongation of the labor. When the labor lasts for some long time, then maternal risk, maternal morbidity increases. There may be cervical, vaginal and perineal tear, which makes the maternal mortality high. But nowadays, due to timely attention of the patient, this risk has been reduced. Effects of operative manipulation like shock and infection. When the aseptic precautions are not maintained during the operation, then there are chances of getting shock and infection. PPH, that is postpartum hemorrhage, is very common. It is very high in the breech presentation. Then we come to the fetal risk. Fetal mortality depends upon type of the breech. Which kind of breech it is? It is least in the frank breech. Frank breech is breech with extended leg. It is a type of the incomplete breech. So the chances of fetal mortality are least when there is frank breech. It is less in complete breech. That means higher than frank breech. Complete breech is flex breech, when all the fetal body parts are in the attitude of the flexion. And worst in footling presentation. That is when both thighs and legs are extended. At that time the fetal mortality chances are worst. They are maximum. These are first intracranial hemorrhage. It is very common cause of the fetal death due to hurried delivery of the aftercoming head. When the delivery of the aftercoming head is done hurriedly, say use of the forceps, it will cause damage to the fetal brain and lead to intracranial hemorrhage. When the forceps is put very forcefully, or when the pulling of the forceps is done very forcefully, then it will lead to intracranial hemorrhage due to damage to the brain. So whenever there is unnecessary hurry in delivery of the aftercoming head, it may lead to intracranial hemorrhage. Why intracranial hemorrhage occurs? Due to decompression of the fetal head. Compression, decompression of the fetal head, which cause tear in the tentorium cerebelli. Again it is tear, T-E-A-R, tear in tentorium cerebelli and hemorrhage in the subarachnoid space. So when there is compression followed by decompression of the fetal head, which leads to tear in tentorium cerebelli and hemorrhage in the subarachnoid space. The risk is more in the premature baby because the head is small and fragile. Fragile means it can be broken easily, it can be ruptured easily, can be damaged easily. So in these cases also intracranial hemorrhage can occur. Second is asphyxia. It may be due to various causes or various reasons. Like first one is compression of the cord between head and pelvic brim. When the umbilical cord is compressed between the head and the pelvic brim, there may be damage to fetal circulation and it may affect or it may lead to asphyxia. Or you can say oxygen supply to the fetus may be affected, which will lead to the asphyxia. Retraction of placental site before birth of the head. Now you know that placenta is detached after the delivery of the fetal body only. After birth of the fetus, placenta is normally detached. But if it is detached, if it is retracted before birth of the fetal head, we call it premature separation of the placenta. So this may lead to asphyxia, because of the premature separation, oxygen supply to the fetus also reduces. Undue delay, when this delay is for more than 10 minutes in delivery of the aftercoming head, when the head is not coming out in time, when there is unnecessary delay in the delivery of the aftercoming head, it may lead to asphyxia. Premature attempt of respiration. Premature means the attempt to establish respiration should be started only after fetus is born. But sometimes before the fetus is born, the efforts are done to establish respiration. Such efforts are called premature attempt, and they will lead to asphyxia. And one more reason is cord prolapse. When there is cord prolapse, at that time also there are more chances of getting fetal asphyxia. Next is injuries to the soft parts inflicted during manipulative deliveries. So whenever there is manipulative delivery, when the delivery is not spontaneous or it is not natural, at that time there may be injuries to the soft parts, and that will cause the or increase the fetal risk. Now what kind of injuries are possible? For example, fractures more commonly of the femur, humerus, clavicle, odontoid process and ribs. Fractures of these parts may lead to fetal damage. Dislocation of the hip joint, mandible or fifth and sixth cervical vertebra. They may also lead to fetal damage. Hematoma over sternomastoid or over the thighs. Visceral injuries include rupture of the liver, kidneys, suprarenal glands, lungs and hemorrhage in the testes. These also increases the fetal risk. And stretching of the brachial plexus causes either Erb's palsy or Klumpke's palsy. Brachial plexus supplies the upper extremity. Erb's palsy is paralysis of the arm, and Klumpke's palsy is the paralysis of the forearm and hand. So when the nerves supplying the arm is affected, there may be Erb's palsy, and when the nerves supplying the hand and forearms are affected, the fetus will get the Klumpke's palsy, right? So these are the injuries to soft parts leading to fetal risk. And fourth one is prematurity. When the fetus is born prematurely, there are more chances of the fetal risk because the fetus is not completely grown. It was the premature birth, right? So these are various fetal risks common in the breech presentation. We'll talk about management of the breech presentation from the next session. Hope you have understood the mechanism. Specifically, you can imagine through or you can compare it with the diagram when you read the lines for your better understanding of the mechanism. Thank you.